When Denobulan militant leader Volar pressed his plasma rifle to the back of the kneeling human's head and hissed that he would start executing hostages unless his demands were met, he expected the remaining free human, Noah Boyd, to capitulate like all the other species did when Denobula threw its galactic weight around. But then Volar saw the look in Noah's eyes, and at that exact moment Volar realized he had royally fucked up. Noah stood there in his battle-scarred space marine armor, almost casually resting his hand on the grip of his holstered plasma magnum. Utterly unfazed by the armed militants surrounding him and his captive squad mates, Noah glared back at Volar with cold, merciless eyes. In that moment, Volar felt his confidence crumble, realizing these humans were cut from an entirely different cloth than the Galactic Union's other peacekeeping forces. "Let me make this real clear for you, Volar," Noah growled, his voice low and dangerous. "Release my men right the fuck now. If you don't, I promise you, there won't be a rock on this entire goddamn planet for you to hide under by the time I'm done with you. Human retribution doesn't give two shits about the galactic conventions on war. Fuck around and find out. Denobula can burn if it has to." Noah let those ominous words hang in the smoky air, never breaking eye contact, his finger hovering closer and closer to his sidearm's trigger. Volar stood paralyzed, the human's sheer audacity and willingness to risk a major interstellar incident totally blindsiding him. Little did Volar know, but a full Terran battle fleet had just dropped out of warp on the edges of the Denobulan system, fusion drives hot and kinetic cannons primed. They were ready to unleash hell in the form of orbital bombardments and drop an entire division of space marines to secure the hostages at any cost. If this tense standoff escalated, Denobula would end up glassed from orbit, and they would have no one to blame but themselves. Volar had gravely miscalculated. Faced with certain annihilation, all he could do was order his men to stand down and uncuff the human prisoners, all while Noah simply smirked. The Denobulans began to understand. Humans didn't abide by anyone else's rules. Cross them at your own peril. And so began humanity's uneasy coexistence with the Denobulans, the failed hostage gambit, just one of many clashes boiling beneath a fragile veneer of peace. With cultures and doctrines so jarringly different, open war could erupt any moment. But for now, the Denobulans cowered in fear of the Terran battle fleet watching from orbit like a sword of Damocles. At the center of it all stood Noah Boyd, a living symbol of humanity's dauntless determination and defiance, traits that could make them the galaxy's greatest heroes or its most destructive menace. Following the harrowing hostage situation, the Terran command reassigned Noah Boyd to serve as a military attaché at the human embassy on the Denobulan homeworld. His orders were clear: help navigate the treacherous waters of diplomacy between humans and Denobulans and prevent any further escalation of hostilities. But as Noah soon discovered, this was easier said than done. The embassy was a cesspool of intrigue and backstabbing, with spies from both species constantly trying to one-up each other. Noah spent his days attending mind-numbing diplomatic functions, smiling through gritted teeth as Denobulan officials spouted empty platitudes about cooperation and mutual understanding. Behind closed doors, however, it was a different story. Noah's instincts told him something wasn't right. He started digging, using his special forces training, to sniff out secrets the Denobulans were desperate to keep hidden. What he uncovered sent a chill down his spine. Evidence of a clandestine Denobulan bioweapons program, designed specifically to target human physiology. The Denobulans claimed it was just a deterrent against human aggression, but to Noah, it was nothing short of an existential threat to his entire species. Plague weapons that could wipe out millions in the blink of an eye, leaving entire colonies as lifeless husks. He knew he had to act fast. Under the cover of darkness, Noah slipped away from the embassy and infiltrated the bioweapons lab to gather more intel. What he found confirmed his worst fears. The Denobulans had already developed a working prototype virus, capable of spreading like wildfire through human populations. Noah gritted his teeth. Not on his watch. Mustering a small team of human operatives, Noah led a daring raid on the bioweapons facility. They came in hot, plasma rifles blazing as they battled with denobulan security forces. The firefight was fierce and bloody, but Noah's team managed to secure the viral samples and scrub the research data from the denobulan systems. As they made their escape, Noah found himself face-to-face with a ghost from his past. Voller, the denobulan militant leader, now a high-ranking intelligence officer. Voller had his plasma rifle trained on Noah's chest, a sneer on his reptilian face. "You just couldn't leave well enough alone, could you?" Voller hissed. "The bioweapons were just one piece of a bigger puzzle, human. A failsafe, in case your kind forgot its place in the galaxy." Noah glared back, his grip tightening on his own rifle. "You call this a failsafe? It's genocide, plain and simple." Voller chuckled darkly. "Call it what you will. The point is, now we're at a crossroads. Hand over the virus, keep your mouth shut, and I'll make sure this little incident stays buried. Your species and mine can go back to playing nice. Refuse, and I'll make sure you take the fall for all of this. The attack on the lab, the stolen bioweapons, all of it. I'll have you branded a rogue agent, a terrorist. It'll be grounds for war, and we both know who would win that fight." Noah's mind raced as he stared down the barrel of Voller's gun. The denobulan was right about one thing. A war between their species would be catastrophic. Millions would die. Entire worlds would burn. And yet, could he really trust Voller to keep his word? Could he hand over a doomsday weapon and pray it would never be used? The weight of two civilizations pressed down on Noah's shoulders as the seconds ticked by. He knew in that moment that the fate of billions rested on the choice he was about to make. The future of humanity and denobulans alike, balanced on the edge of a knife. There, in the smoke-filled halls of a bioweapons lab on an alien world, Noah Boyd faced the hardest decision of his life. And he had to make it fast. Time was running out. Noah stared down the barrel of Voller's plasma rifle, his mind racing. In that instant, he made his choice. With lightning reflexes honed by years of combat, Noah smashed the viral samples against the floor. The vials shattered, their lethal contents rendered inert. Voller's eyes widened in shock. "You fool!" he snarled, firing his weapon. Noah dove for cover as plasma bolts sizzled past. He returned fire, forcing Voller back. Alarms blared as Noah sprinted for the exit, knowing full well the consequences of his actions. He barely made it off-world before the denobulan propaganda machine kicked into high gear. News vids branded him a terrorist, a rogue agent intent on sabotaging denobulan research. Noah watched from a dingy safe house as his face was plastered across every channel. Denobulan security forces caught up with him within days. They dragged him before a military tribunal, the proceedings broadcast live across the sector. Noah sat stone-faced as prosecutors spun their web of lies. He longed to expose the truth about the bioweapons program, but knew it would only escalate tensions further, so he remained silent, accepting the harsh sentence handed down. As guards escorted Noah to his cell, angry crowds jeered. "Death to humans!" they chanted. Noah realized bitterly that he'd become a rallying point for anti-human sentiment. Weeks passed in solitary confinement. Noah's only visitors were interrogators demanding information he refused to give. Then one night, a new voice spoke from the shadows of his cell. "Quite a mess you've gotten yourself into, Mr. Boyd." Noah squinted at the hooded figure. "Who the hell are you?" "You can call me the broker," the stranger replied. "I represent certain interests within the human government. We've been watching you closely." The broker laid out an offer, freedom and a chance for payback, in exchange for Noah's services as a covert operative. With nothing left to lose, Noah accepted. 2 nights later, Noah's cell door slid open. Alarms wailed as he fought his way past guards, guided by the broker's operatives through his neural comm. They rendezvoused at a cloaked shuttle, blasting out of the prison complex moments before it went into full lockdown. As the shuttle jumped to FTL, Noah realized his old life was gone forever. The broker filled him in on the true scope of the galactic chessboard. The human-denobulan conflict was just one small piece of a much larger game. Noah spent the next months in grueling training, honing his body and mind into a weapon. He mastered cutting-edge human tech, including a stealth suit that could bend light and an AI-linked neural implant. Finally, the broker gave Noah his first mission: infiltrate a denobulan colony world and gather intel on their military capabilities. Noah's mind raced as he prepped his gear. This was his chance to strike back, to expose the denobulan's lies. But a nagging doubt lingered. Was he truly serving humanity's best interests, or had he become a pawn in someone else's game? As Noah's infiltration shuttle broke atmosphere, he pushed the doubts aside. He had a job to do. The fate of two civilizations might well rest on what he discovered here. Noah activated his stealth suit and slipped into the shadows of the alien city, ready to navigate the treacherous waters ahead. Noah crouched behind a stack of cargo crates, his stealth suit humming softly as it bent light around him. The denobulan colony world of Kariz bustled with activity outside the Planetary Defense Administration building. He watched workers scurry about, completely oblivious to the human spy in their midst. Slipping inside, Noah made his way to a restricted terminal. His fingers flew across the alien interface, bypassing firewalls and encryptions. Data streamed onto his neural implant: troop deployments, weapons schematics, defense grids, the mother lode of denobulan military intel. A door hissed open behind him. Noah froze. "Hey, Grelnek, you see the game last night?" a voice called out in denobulan. Noah's translator rendered the words in real time. He grunted an affirmative, not turning around. "Wild finish, right? Anyways, don't forget to run diagnostics on..." Alarms blared, cutting off the conversation. Noah's heart raced as he realized his hack had been detected. He bolted for the exit, shoving past confused workers. Outside, denobulan security forces swarmed the streets. Noah ducked into an alley, frantically trying to contact his extraction team. Static, comms were being jammed. With options dwindling, Noah sprinted for the spaceport. Plasma bolts sizzled past as he vaulted over a security barrier. Up ahead, a sleek denobulan fighter craft sat on the landing pad. Noah lunged into the cockpit, his neural implant interfacing with the alien systems. Engines roared to life as pursuers closed in. The fighter rocketed skyward, G-forces crushing Noah into his seat. Denobulan interceptors screamed after him, weapons blazing. Noah jinked and rolled, his stolen craft shuddering under the assault. The jump drive spooled up agonizingly slowly. A lucky shot rocked the fighter. Alarms wailed as systems failed. With a final surge, the jump drive engaged. Stars blurred into streaks as Noah hurtled into hyperspace, damaged ship barely holding together. He emerged near a remote human outpost, hoping for sanctuary. Instead, Noah found chaos. A ruthless band of human mercenaries had seized control, led by a hulking figure Noah recognized with dread. Keller, his former squad leader turned renegade. Keller's gruff voice crackled over the comm. Well, if it ain't the golden boy, hand over that fancy denobulan ride, and maybe I won't space all these hostages." Noah gritted his teeth. "Go to hell, Keller." A woman's scream cut off abruptly. Keller chuckled darkly. "One down. How many more you want on your conscience, Boyd?" Noah's mind raced. He couldn't give up the vital intel, but more lives were at stake. Time for a new plan. Under cover of darkness, Noah donned his stealth suit and slipped past the outpost's compromised defenses. He moved silently through corridors littered with bodies, both military and civilian. One by one, Noah eliminated Keller's men. A garrote wire here, a nerve pinch there. He left no trace as he worked his way toward the command center. Inside, Keller paced impatiently. Several hostages huddled in a corner, including a woman Noah assumed was the analyst, Jenna. Keller spun as the door hissed open, revealing Noah. "Should have known you'd try something stupid," Keller growled. Noah said nothing, dropping into a fighting stance. The two ex-Marines clashed in a brutal melee. Noah was faster, but Keller's raw strength was overwhelming. A lucky punch sent Noah reeling. Keller pressed his advantage, grabbing a hostage and putting a gun to their head. It's over, Boyd. Surrender or... The wall exploded inward. Denobulan troops poured through the breach, weapons blazing. Noah dove for cover, his mind racing. The mission or the hostages? He had to choose. In that split second, Noah made his decision. He lunged toward Jenna, tackling her to the ground as plasma bolts crisscrossed the room. The battle raged around them as Noah dragged Jenna toward the exit. The intel, Jenna gasped. We can't let Keller escape with it. Noah nodded grimly. They had to stop Keller, save the hostages, and somehow neutralize the Denobulan threat. The fate of humanity's war effort hung in the balance, with Noah caught in the middle of a three-way firefight. Noah yanked Jenna behind a twisted bulkhead as plasma bolts sizzled past. The Denobulan fighter shuddered, alarms blaring. Through the view screen, a desolate moon loomed. "We're going down!" Noah shouted over the din. "Brace for impact!" The craft slammed into rocky terrain, skidding to a halt. Acrid smoke filled the cockpit. Noah kicked out the cracked canopy, helping Jenna climb out. They stumbled away from the wreckage, gasping in the thin atmosphere. Jenna surveyed the barren landscape. Where are we? Noah checked his nav system. Some moon orbiting a gas giant. No breathable atmosphere, minimal gravity. We need shelter, fast. They salvaged what they could from the fighter. Emergency rations, water recyclers, portable shield generators. Using the craft's hull plates, they cobbled together a makeshift shelter in the lee of a towering cliff face. As night fell, bringing plummeting temperatures, Jenna huddled close to Noah for warmth. "I need to tell you something," she said softly, "about why the Denobulans want me so badly." Noah listened intently as Jenna explained about the top-secret weapon facility and the broker's covert operations. His mind raced, processing the strategic implications. "We have to get that intel back to command," Noah said. "But how?" He scanned the desolate horizon, then eyed the downed fighter. An idea formed. "We hijack a Denobulan ship," Noah declared. "Use parts from our fighter to build a makeshift comms array, intercept their transmissions. When a supply convoy passes nearby, we strike." Jenna nodded grimly. "It's risky, but what choice do we have?" For days they labored, cannibalizing the fighter's systems. Noah's hands bled as he spliced alien circuitry. Finally, the crude device crackled to life, Denobulan comm chatter filling the air. They waited, conserving supplies, until they intercepted coordinates for an incoming transport. Noah prepped his weapons, while Jenna calculated intercept trajectories. The Denobulan ship never saw them coming. Noah's stolen fighter tech jammed their sensors as he and Jenna used their portable shield to board via the cargo airlock. They fought their way to the bridge, stunning the unprepared crew. "We did it!" Jenna exclaimed as Noah took the helm. A slow clap echoed behind them. They spun to see Keller emerge from the shadows, leveling a pulse rifle at them. "Well done, kiddies," Keller sneered. "Now hand over that broker intel or this turns messy." Noah's fingers inched toward his sidearm. "Go to hell, Keller." Keller fired. Noah dove aside as the console erupted in sparks. The ship lurched, alarms blaring. On the console, the gas giant's violent atmosphere loomed. "Look what you made me do," Keller snarled, advancing on them. Noah tackled him, the two men grappling as the ship plummeted. Jenna frantically worked the controls, fighting to stabilize their descent. The vessel screamed through the turbulent skies, hull glowing from atmospheric friction. With a titanic impact, they crashed onto a rocky island jutting from a vast alien ocean. Noah staggered from the smoking wreckage, head spinning. A movement caught his eye. Keller, bruised but alive, brandishing a Denobulan plasma cannon. "End of the line, Boyd," Keller growled. He grabbed Jenna, pressing the weapon to her head. "The intel, now, or she dies." Noah's mind raced. The fate of humanity's war effort balanced against Jenna's life. He had seconds to decide. "Tick-tock, golden boy," Keller taunted. "What's it gonna be?" Noah's mind raced, weighing his options. He couldn't let Keller get his hands on the broker's intel, but Jenna's life hung in the balance. Time to gamble. "All right, Keller, you win," Noah said, raising his hand slowly. I'll give you the data, just let her go. Keller sneered. Fat chance. Hand it over first. Noah inched towards a scorched console, his fingers brushing against a salvaged denobulin plasma weapon. As he pretended to access the intel, he discreetly rewired the weapon's power core. What's taking so long? Keller barked, pressing the gun harder against Jenna's temple. Decryption protocols, Noah lied. Almost there. The weapon's core hummed softly as Noah finished the modifications. He took a deep breath, steeling himself. Here, Noah said, turning with the device. Catch. He tossed the weapon towards Keller. The mercenary's eyes widened in confusion, his grip on Jenna loosening for a split second. Noah lunged, tackling Jenna to the ground as he triggered the overloaded core. A blinding flash erupted, followed by an invisible wave that fried every piece of electronics in range. Keller howled in pain, dropping his weapon and clawing at his eyes. Noah sprang up, delivering a swift punch that sent the mercenary crumpling to the floor. Jenna, you okay? Noah asked, helping her up. She blinked rapidly, disoriented. Where am I? Who are you? Noah cursed internally. The EMP had wiped Jenna's neural implants, along with her memories. Before he could explain, the ground shook violently beneath their feet. We need to move, Noah urged, grabbing Jenna's arm. This whole place is coming apart. They stumbled out of the wreckage onto unstable terrain. The sky churned with violent storm clouds, flashes of lightning illuminating the chaos around them. There, Noah spotted a battered escape pod among the debris. Our ticket out of here. They sprinted across the disintegrating landscape. A geyser of noxious gas erupted inches from Noah's feet, singeing his boots. Jenna screamed as a fissure opened up before them, nearly swallowing her whole. Noah yanked her back, leaping over the widening chasm. They reached the pod, Noah practically throwing Jenna inside before scrambling in after her. The island shuddered, massive chunks breaking away, as Noah frantically worked the alien controls. With a teeth-rattling roar, the pod launched, narrowly escaping the planet's crushing gravitational pull. Hold on! Noah shouted as they punched through the turbulent atmosphere. The pod shuddered and groaned, systems failing left and right. A habitable planet loomed ahead, but Noah realized with growing dread that they had no way to slow their descent. Brace for impact, he yelled, wrapping his arms protectively around Jenna. They slammed into the planet's surface with bone-jarring force. The pod carved a deep furrow through rocky terrain before finally skidding to a halt. Ears ringing, body aching, Noah pushed open the cracked hatch. He helped a dazed Jenna out of the smoking wreckage. Where are we? She asked, staring at the alien landscape. Noah surveyed their meager supplies. I don't know, but we need to. A low, rumbling sound cut him off. Noah's enhanced senses picked up movement in the distance. Something was out there, watching them. He gripped his plasma rifle tightly, pushing Jenna behind him. Whatever was coming, he'd face it head on. They'd survived this far. Now it was time for answers. Noah's enhanced senses picked up movement in the distance. A low, rumbling sound cut through the eerie silence of the alien world. He gripped his plasma rifle tightly, pushing Jenna behind him. Stay close, Noah whispered, his eyes scanning the barren landscape. Suddenly, he spotted it. A colossal creature, unlike anything he'd ever seen, emerged from behind a rocky outcropping. It stood over 20 meters tall, its body a nightmarish fusion of reptile and insect. Thick, chitinous plates covered its torso, while razor-sharp mandibles clicked ominously. Oh my God, Jenna gasped, her voice barely audible. Noah's mind raced. They'd landed in the hunting grounds of an apex predator. He grabbed Jenna's arm, pulling her towards a nearby boulder. Get down, he hissed. The creature's head swiveled in their direction. Its nostrils flared, catching their scent. A deafening roar erupted from its maw, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. Noah steadied his plasma rifle, taking aim at the beast's exposed underbelly. He squeezed the trigger, sending a barrage of searing energy blasts towards the target. The plasma bolts tore into the creature's hide, leaving smoldering holes. But instead of falling, the monster let out an ear-splitting shriek of rage. It charged forward, its massive claws rending deep furrows in the rocky terrain. "Run!" Noah shouted, shoving Jenna ahead of him. They sprinted across the alien landscape, the thunderous footfalls of the predator growing closer with each passing second. Noah's mind worked furiously, searching for a solution. His eyes locked onto a deep ravine cutting through the terrain ahead. A plan formed in his mind. "Jenna, I need you to lure it towards that ravine," Noah instructed, gesturing to the chasm. "I'll set up a trap." Jenna's eyes widened in fear, but she nodded resolutely. "What are you going to do?" "Something stupid," Noah replied, already moving towards the wreckage of their escape pod. As Jenna ran, shouting and waving her arms to attract the creature's attention, Noah worked feverishly. He tore components from the pod's propulsion system, rigging them into a crude but powerful explosive device. The ground shook as the massive predator pursued Jenna, its jaws snapping mere meters behind her. Noah positioned himself near the edge of the ravine, the makeshift bomb clutched in his hands. "Now, Jenna," he shouted. As Jenna dove to the side, Noah triggered the device. A blinding flash erupted, followed by a thunderous explosion that sent shockwaves rippling through the ground. The beast let out a final, terrifying roar as the earth gave way beneath its feet, plunging it into the depths of the ravine. Tons of rubble cascaded down, burying the creature in its rocky tomb. Silence fell over the alien world once more. Noah helped Jenna to her feet, both of them panting heavily. "We need to find a way off this rock," Noah said, surveying their surroundings. In the distance, a glint of metal caught his eye. They made their way towards it, discovering the remains of a long-abandoned Denobulan research outpost. Its structures stood in various states of decay, but Noah and Jenna wasted no time scavenging what they could from the dilapidated buildings. As they searched, Noah uncovered a battered data terminal. He connected his neural implant, sifting through layers of encryption. His eyes widened as he deciphered the information. "Jenna, I've found something," he called out. "Coordinates for a secret Denobulan shipyard. It's our best shot at getting out of here." Before Jenna could respond, a distant whine of engines filled the air. Noah's enhanced hearing picked up Denobulan voices carried on the wind. "We've got company," he warned. "Grab what you can. We need to move, now." They fled into the alien wilderness, the sounds of the Denobulan search party growing closer with each passing moment. Noah and Jenna pushed on, driven by the hope of escape and the coordinates that promised salvation. Noah's fingers flew across the control panel, initiating the hyperspace jump. The stars stretched into brilliant streaks as the Corvette hurtled through the fabric of space-time. His crew, a handful of battle-hardened survivors, braced themselves for the unknown. "ETA to target coordinates. 2 minutes," the ship's AI announced. Noah nodded, his eyebrows furrowed. "All hands, prepare for potential hostile contact." As they exited hyperspace, Noah's eyes widened. Instead of the expected research facility, a massive Denobulan battle station loomed before them, its weapons primed and ready. "It's a trap," Noah shouted. "Evasive maneuvers now." But it was too late. A squadron of Denobulan fighters swarmed around them, their energy weapons peppering the Corvette's hull. A powerful tractor beam locked onto the ship, pulling them inexorably towards the station. Alarms blared as systems failed one by one. Noah fought with the controls, but the ship refused to respond. "We're losing power! Shields are down!" He made a split-second decision. "Everyone to the escape pods. I'll overload the reactor and take this station out." His crew hesitated, but Noah's voice brooked no argument. "Go! That's an order!" As they scrambled to evacuate, Noah raced to the engine room. He bypassed safety protocols, initiating a catastrophic overload sequence. The ship groaned and shuddered around him. Suddenly, a familiar voice crackled over the comms. "Hello, Noah. So good of you to join us." Noah froze. "Volar." The Denobulan's face appeared on a nearby screen, sneering. "Did you really think it would be so easy? Your precious intelligence was nothing but bait. Noah's fists clenched. Where's the superweapon? Volar laughed. There is no superweapon, you fool. This was all about you. My final revenge against the human who's been a thorn in my side for far too long. A nearby explosion rocked the ship. Noah stumbled, catching himself on a console. Volar's voice turned cold. Surrender now, and I might spare your surviving crew. Give me everything you know about the broker's operation. Noah spat blood from his split lip. Go to hell. Volar's eyes narrowed. So be it. He barked an order in Denobulan. On the external cameras, Noah watched in horror as Denobulan fighters opened fire on the fleeing escape pods. No! Noah screamed, pounding his fists against the console. The sight of his comrades being obliterated ignited something primal in Noah. With a roar of pure rage, he charged towards the bridge. Volar was here, somewhere on this ship. He would pay. Noah found him in the command center, surrounded by Denobulan guards. Without hesitation, Noah attacked. His fists connected with alien flesh as he fought like a man possessed. Bones cracked, blood spilled, but Noah felt nothing but cold fury. As they grappled, Noah's hand found the ship's self-destruct panel. He slammed his palm down, initiating the final countdown. Warning, self-destruct sequence activated. 5 minutes to detonation, the ship's AI intoned. Volar's eyes widened in fear. Noah used the momentary distraction to gain the upper hand. With a savage blow, he knocked Volar unconscious. Dragging the Denobulan's limp form, Noah sprinted to the brig, sealing him inside. Enjoy your final moments, Noah snarled. The ship shuddered violently as Noah raced to the last remaining escape pod. He could feel the heat of the overloading reactor as he strapped himself in. With seconds to spare, he launched. The explosion was blinding. The shockwave sent Noah's pod tumbling through space, debris pinging off its hull. As the light faded, Noah saw the utter destruction he'd wrought. The Denobulan battle station was gone, reduced to scattered fragments. For what felt like an eternity, Noah drifted in the silent void. His body ached. His mind reeled from the losses he'd suffered. Just as despair began to set in, a shadow fell across his pod. A human patrol ship, its running lights a beacon of hope in the darkness. As he was brought aboard, familiar faces greeted him. Jenna, her eyes red-rimmed but alive. A handful of his crew, battered but breathing. They'd survived against all challenges. In the ship's medbay, as a medic tended to his wounds, Noah received the grim news. The broker's network was in shambles, compromised by Volar's treachery. The fragile peace between humans and Denobulans had crumbled. Noah's fists clenched, ignoring the pain that shot through his battered knuckles. He turned to Jenna, his eyes blazing with newfound purpose. "We're not done," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "We're taking the fight to them, to their homeworld." Jenna nodded, her face set with fierce commitment. "Where you go, I go." Noah stood, brushing aside the protesting medic. He strode to the bridge, his loyal crew falling in behind him. "Set a course for the Denobulan homeworld," he ordered. "It's time we end this once and for all." The stars stretched once more as they jumped to hyperspace, hurtling towards an uncertain future and the final confrontation that awaited them. The human patrol ship sliced through the void, its engines thrumming with barely contained power. Noah stood on the bridge, his hands clenched into fists as he gazed at the swirling blue orb of the Denobulan homeworld growing larger on the console. "We're entering the outer defense perimeter," Jenna reported, her fingers dancing across the tactical console. "Stealth systems engaged." Noah nodded, his mind focused. "Take us in low and fast. We'll use the planet's magnetic field to mask our approach." The ship shuddered as it plunged into the atmosphere, friction heating the hull to a dull red glow. Alarms blared as they neared the capital city's energy shield. "Now!" Noah barked. The ship's main cannon roared to life, a searing beam of energy lancing out to punch a hole through the shimmering barrier. Klaxons wailed across the Denobulan capital as the human vessel screamed overhead. Noah turned to his team, a motley crew of survivors outfitted with scavenged weaponry and grim expressions. "You all know the plan. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we don't stop until we reach that command bunker." He strapped on his combat harness, checking the charge on his plasma rifle. "Let's make these bastards pay." The cargo bay doors yawned open, revealing the alien cityscape below. Noah took a deep breath, then leapt into the howling wind. His team followed, their jetpacks flaring as they plummeted towards the streets below. They touched down in a hail of weapons fire, Denobulan security forces already converging on their position. Noah's rifle spat blue fire, cutting down the first wave of attackers. "Move!" he shouted, leading the charge towards the squat, fortified structure of the military command center. The streets became a war zone. Energy bolts sizzled through the air as Noah's team fought block by block, building by building. Denobulan civilians fled screaming as the human strike force carved a path of destruction through their capital. Noah's enhanced reflexes kept him one step ahead of death, his body twisting and weaving through the maelstrom of combat. A Denobulan soldier lunged at him with a vibroblade, only to catch a plasma bolt through the chest. "Noah!" Jenna's voice crackled over the comm. "We're pinned down!" He spotted her position, a handful of his team trapped behind the burning wreckage of a hovercar. Without hesitation, Noah charged forward, hurling a plasma grenade into the Denobulan strongpoint. The explosion rocked the street, sending alien bodies flying. Noah hauled Jenna to her feet, his eyes scanning the battlefield. "We're close. Push through." They fought their way to the command bunker's reinforced doors, leaving a trail of Denobulan dead in their wake. Noah planted breaching charges as the rest of the team provided covering fire. The explosion shook the ground and they poured into the complex. Alarms blared as they fought their way through winding corridors, gunning down panicked Denobulan officers. They burst into the central command center, weapons raised, but instead of Voller, they found only terrified technicians cowering behind consoles. "Where is he?" Noah roared, grabbing the nearest Denobulan by the throat. "Where's Voller?" The alien gasped, its eyes wide with fear. "Gone. Emergency transport. Off-world facility." Noah snarled in frustration, shoving the Denobulan aside. His eyes fell on a holographic display, schematics for a massive vessel rotating slowly in the air. "What is that?" he demanded. Jenna stepped forward, her fingers flying across the alien controls. It's a shipyard. They're building something big, Noah. A Dreadnought-class warship." Noah's mind raced. If the Denobulans completed that ship, it could turn the tide of the entire war. He made his decision in an instant. "New target," he growled. "We're taking that shipyard." They fought their way back to the streets, commandeering Denobulan transports. As they rocketed towards the coordinates of the secret facility, Noah's grip tightened on his weapon. One way or another, this war would end today. The Dreadnought's corridors echoed with the thunderous footsteps of Noah and his team as they raced against time. Klaxons blared, their shrill wails punctuated by the ship's AI repeating its dire warning. "Antimatter containment failure imminent. All personnel evacuate immediately." Noah's breath came in ragged gasps as he sprinted, plasma rifle clutched tightly in his sweating hands. The ship's layout scrolled through his mind, projected by his neural implant. "This way!" he shouted, veering left down a narrow passageway. A squad of Denobulan soldiers rounded the corner ahead, energy weapons raised. Noah didn't hesitate. He opened fire, blue bolts of superheated plasma cutting through the air. The first two Denobulans fell, their bodies smoking. The others scattered, taking cover behind bulkheads. "Jenna, cover me!" Noah called out. She responded with a hail of suppressing fire, allowing Noah to advance. He vaulted over a fallen Denobulan, the alien's lifeless eyes staring blankly upward. The reactor chamber lay just ahead. As they approached the massive doors, Noah's implant flashed a radiation warning. The levels were already climbing to dangerous heights. He turned to his team, their faces etched with exhaustion and fear. I'm going in alone, he said, voice firm. The radiation... Jenna cut him off. Like hell you are. We're in this together all the way. The others nodded grimly. Noah wanted to argue, but there was no time. He placed his hand on the access panel, and the doors slid open with a hiss. The reactor room was a maelstrom of frantic activity. Denobulan technicians scrambled to contain the impending disaster, their voices raised in panic. At the center of it all stood the antimatter reactor, a towering pillar of barely contained energy. Noah sprinted to the main control console, his fingers flying across the alien interface. Warning messages flashed across the screen, a cascade of system failures that threatened to overwhelm him. It's no use, a Denobulan tech shouted. The failsafes are offline. We can't stop it. Noah's mind raced. He closed his eyes, activating his neural implant's direct interface mode. The ship's systems flooded his consciousness, a torrent of data threatening to drown him. He pushed through the chaos, searching for a way to avert catastrophe. Suddenly, he found it, a hidden subroutine buried deep within the reactor's programming. Volar's trap. Noah's eyes snapped open. No, he whispered. The choice before him was clear and terrible. Save himself and doom millions, or sacrifice everything to stop the meltdown. In that moment, all thoughts of vengeance fled. Noah knew what he had to do. Everyone out, he roared, now. His team hesitated, but the steel in Noah's voice brooked no argument. They retreated, Jenna lingering at the doorway. Noah, please, she pleaded. He met her gaze, allowing himself one final moment of connection. Go, live. As the doors sealed shut, Noah turned back to the console. His fingers danced across the controls, initiating the antimatter venting sequence. Radiation alarms screamed to life as the chamber flooded with deadly particles. Noah's skin began to burn, his cells breaking down under the onslaught. He gritted his teeth against the pain, forcing himself to remain conscious. The venting sequence was almost complete. A slow clap echoed through the chamber. Noah turned to see Volar emerging from a shielded observation room, a sneer twisting his alien features. Well done, human, Volar said. You've saved my people, at the cost of your own life. How noble. Noah's vision blurred, blood trickling from his eyes and ears. Yet he managed a defiant grin. You haven't won anything, Volar. This is just the beginning. With a final surge of strength, Noah lunged forward. His hand closed around a jagged piece of shrapnel, and he drove it deep into Volar's chest. The Denobulan's eyes widened in shock and pain. As Volar crumpled to the floor, Noah leaned in close. His voice was a rasping whisper, each word an effort. For every human life you've taken, 1,000,000 Denobulans will pay. Remember that as you die. Noah staggered back to the console, his body failing. With the last of his strength, he activated his neural implant's transmission protocol. Everything he'd learned about the Denobulans' plans, their weaknesses, their fleet movements, all of it streamed outward, a final act of defiance. As darkness closed in, Noah's thoughts turned to Earth, to the human worlds he'd given his life to protect. He knew the war wasn't over. It was just beginning, and humanity would not forget his sacrifice. The reactor chamber filled with blinding light as Noah's consciousness faded. His last thought was of home, of the blue skies and green fields he'd never see again. Then, there was nothing but silence.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.